Oh, hi. Hope you're all doing well. I don't know what's going on. Why am I back here again? I don't remember a new animated film coming out. What? There's a new animated film out? What do you mean? Wait, that came out already? When? I didn't see anything about it. I didn't see any trailers or posters, not even a release date. When did this come out? Are you kidding me? They announced this less than a month ago and just dumped it onto VOD platforms after less than 2 weeks in theaters? And it only played in 50 theaters? 50? Oh god, what a mess. So yeah, to break this down, Paramount just released a brand new animated film called Under the Boardwalk, which you probably haven't heard of until now, and there's a reason. Paramount gave it no promotion. It got only one trailer only a few days before its very, very limited theatrical release before finally coming out on VOD on Tuesday. I don't think I've seen anything like this before. Say what you will about Strange World and Ruby Gillman, both of those had horrible marketing, but at least they were given more than a month of marketing. I saw trailers and posters for those months in advance. This was just dumped out. They just quietly put this film out to sea on a rowboat without an oar and didn't tell anyone about it. Even a release in January would be more dignified than this. What happened? How does a major animated film from a major studio featuring some big-name actors just get released like this? Well, in order for us to understand how we got here, we need to break down the history behind the film. And that regards the history of Paramount's animation division. And oh boy, this is something I've wanted to dissect for a while because the way they've been releasing animated films for the past few years has been a mess. In 2011, Paramount was having a pretty successful partnership with DreamWorks. They were distributing some huge critical and commercial successes from them, including the likes of Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon, the Madagascar sequels, and Puss in Boots. It seemed like a pretty successful partnership that was bound to grow into the future. But then Paramount released a little animated film called Rango. Rango was directed by Gore Verbinski, fresh off the success of the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean films, and starred Johnny Depp as the titular protagonist, a pet chameleon with a gift for the theatrics, left behind in the Mojave Desert, who soon becomes the sheriff of a dried-up western town called Dirt, and goes on a search to help its residents bring back water to the dried-up land. It was certainly a weird animated film, but it was a pretty great one nonetheless. Despite it being a story that has been told before, it's benefited by a fantastic and quirky script from John Logan, some absolutely gorgeous animation, and a colorful cast of characters. It was a fun animated western, and it ended up winning the Oscar for Best Animated Feature the next year. Based on the success of the film, as well as confidence with their other animated release, The Adventures of Tintin, from director Steven Spielberg, Paramount decided to throw their hat into the animation ring, ended their deal with DreamWorks, and started up their own animation studio. At the time, it seemed like an odd decision, considering that Rango wasn't a major box office hit. I'm not great with box office numbers, but it didn't double its budget, so I can't imagine the film was a major profitable hit. But considering they had 2 major critical hits, it seemed like a bold decision, and for a while they were on the right track. Their first 2 animated films from their new division, the SpongeBob movie Sponge Out of Water and Anomalisa, were both critical and commercial hits and seemed to set up more future success for Paramount animation-wise. But then... oh boy.
What the fertilizer?
They have really been on a pretty bad downward spiral for the past few years, as not only were their animated films they were putting out not making that much money, but they were also really bad. I have really not enjoyed the films they have been putting out since 2018. Sherlock Gnomes, Wonder Park, Sponge on the Run, Rumble, Paws of Fury. These films were just really, really bad. The only animated film that Paramount has released in the past 5 years that I have enjoyed is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. That's it. Everything else has ranged from being okay at best to awful at worst. And the management team has also been a mess, as tons of execs have come and gone, projects have been scrapped, little progress was made. The best decision I can say they did apart from Mutant Mayhem was dumping Skydance Animation after they hired John Lasseter. They seriously dodged a massive bullet leaving them behind. So did Apple for that matter. But it's really not saying that much if that was one of their best decisions in recent memory. So yeah, it's fair to say that this studio has been in a really chaotic state. So how does Under the Boardwalk fit into the picture? Well, let me explain. I first learned of this film back in 2020 through Paramount Animation's website, which isn't a great sign. I usually learn about brand new animated films in the news immediately after they are revealed. But yeah, from there I found out that the film was to be directed by David Soren, the director behind Turbo and Captain Underpants, and would be a musical about hermit crabs who live under a boardwalk on the Jersey Shore. The film was dated for a release date in the summer of 2022. But then this is where things got messy. In 2021, Paramount had a management changeover with Nickelodeon president Brian Robbins taking over the studio, and one thing he quickly did was make Nickelodeon Animation president Ramsey Nido president of Paramount's animation division, and they quickly started to shake things up as Rumble was quickly moved from theatrical release to being dumped onto Paramount Plus. Though it seemed like Under the Boardwalk was still on track to be released in July of 2022, until January of that year, when Paramount acquired the rights to Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank, and decided to release that film in July instead, while Under the Boardwalk was pulled from the schedule. I'm not sure why they thought Paws of Fury would be a big hit, considering the development hell it was in for so long, and surprise, surprise, it wasn't a hit. But I digress. For a while, Under the Boardwalk sat on the shelf for over a year, and I honestly had no idea when or if it was going to get released. Until last month, when on Twitter, the film's director just revealed in a tweet that the film was coming out in a few weeks. Yeah, just like that. Paramount quickly dropped one trailer not long after, and yep, here it is. It's out. Let me just say this right now. Paramount should seriously be embarrassed for how they treated this film. The way it was released onto the world like this is seriously unacceptable, and I feel so bad for the crew as they just waited for months on the status of the film and didn't know if it was going to get released or not. The fact that their hard work is just getting dumped like this is seriously sad, and the execs should be ashamed of themselves. I really hope we don't see a film go through something like this ever again. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about the actual movie itself. So like I previously said, this is a musical about crabs living under a boardwalk on the Jersey Shore. How is it overall? Not great, honestly. I'd say it's mediocre. I mean, I'll give it this, it's certainly much better than the previous animated films I mentioned that came from Paramount, but it's really not that spectacular of a film. It's pretty much another lackluster animated musical that doesn't bring that much to the table. So as I said, this is an animated musical about crabs on the New Jersey Shore, as it follows a feud that the land crabs are facing with the sea crabs. One of those land crabs, Armin, played by Michael Cera, is a pretty shy crab working at one of the resorts and is still afraid to break out of his shell, pun intended, and have some fun with his friends, including a muscle-bound crab named Bobby, played by Bobby Cannavale. One day, he soon comes across a sea crab named Ramona, played by Kiki Palmer, and the two seem to hit it off right away. But when another sea crab named Mako, played by... Actually, I'll say who's playing him later, because it has to deal with the reason why Paramount probably wanted to keep this film buried. But anyway, as I was saying, after Mako steals Armin's shell and gets into a scuffle, Ramona steps in to save him, but the two end up getting swept away by a storm and end up stranded on the Jersey Boardwalk. Hoping to get back to the ocean, Armin and Ramona set off across the boardwalk while having fun along the way, not realizing a battle between the sea and land crabs is starting to boil after the disappearance of the two crabs. So I'll just start off by apologizing that my opening to this review being longer than me talking about the film itself, but in all, this film isn't all that spectacular. It's not one of the worst animated films of the year, and it's certainly not one of the best either. It's just mediocre. And I really have to wonder why Paramount was so reluctant on releasing this film apart from one certain cast member. But we'll get to him. If anything, it just makes their decision to sit on this film for so long look even worse, especially considering they swapped this out for Paws of Fury, which also starred Michael Cera, oddly enough. Like, I don't know what they saw in that film. Paws of Fury was bad. This was just there. I don't think this film would have been a hit, but it's not a complete disaster either. I mean, I'll start off by talking about the things I like, and one was easily the animation. This was such a bright and cheerful film, and I thought it was pretty cute. The film was animated by D-Egg, and they always bring their top game to the animation. The crabs were well designed, the colors were eye-catching, and even the sets regarding around the crab resort are pretty cool. It does look like something that Krabs built, and the way it worked was kind of funny and clever. Another thing that I also really like about this film is some of the representation present. One of the characters in the film is Ramona's sister Shelley, whom just happens to be deaf. And I really like this character and how she was portrayed. She was treated normally by the others around her, and she's shown to be pretty smart, and I like that the filmmakers had her communicating in American Sign Language. It's nice to see a positive representation like that. I also really like a scene involving her and Bobby as they look for Armin and Ramona, and Bobby mentions that he's pretty much frustrated at being a jock alpha male, with having the ripped abs and not being all that smart. And I kinda wish they were in the film more and their relationship with the others was explored. However, it's only a subplot, because the main plot is basically West Side Story with crabs. They don't really do all that much in this film, as it just goes over the basic beats you can imagine. A boy and a girl on opposite sides are wanting to do more, they meet at a dance and are forbidden at being together by their respective groups, the two end up getting washed away by a storm and are determined to get back, and the two sides are starting to start a bigger war over the supposed death of the two characters. It's that simple, and they don't do anything different with it. Even the scenes with Armin and Ramona bonding on the boardwalk aren't all that special, since it's just them having fun on stuff like roller coasters and carnival games. And of course, there's the will they won't they conflict over their respective sides, and yeah, there's just nothing here. This film doesn't do anything new with this plot. I've said this before and I'll say it again, being predictable isn't a bad thing as it all depends on execution. If you're gonna do a plot that's the Romeo and Juliet plot, I'm fine with it, but you've gotta do something interesting and new in it, and this film just doesn't. Like, it didn't annoy me, and I wasn't all that bored by it since the film is pretty short, but it just went in one year and out the other. I mean, you'd think a story written by the writer and director of Hustlers would be fun and memorable, but this doesn't have the energy that that film had. And I can say the same thing about the characters. Armin and Ramona are pretty standard lover characters, with both of them wanting to do more, with Armin wanting to be more active despite his anxieties and worries due to him losing his parents at a young age, and Ramona wanting to do more despite being under the watchful eye of her mother, and there's really nothing else to them besides that. And even their romance isn't all that interesting, especially compared to other animated couples from this year who have much better chemistry and also have much more to them compared to how they appear on the surface. Michael Cera and Keke Palmer are trying with these characters, but they just can't elevate them past their mundane writing. Though, I will say it is kind of funny to see another film where Michael Cera chases after a girl named Ramona. Oh, by the way, the Scott Pilgrim anime that's coming out on Netflix looks amazing. I am so excited to check it out. The other characters themselves aren't that memorable, as Bobby's other pals are basically dumb jocks, Ramona's mom is basically overprotective, and the other sea crabs are basically stuck-up British stereotypes, and one of those crabs, Mako, really annoyed me, both because he wasn't interesting, and this has to tie with one possible reason why Paramount shelved this film. He's played by Russell Brand. Yeah. As for the music, it's there. I mean, I did kind of dig the opening number, Welcome to New Jersey, though the others weren't all that great. Plus, Michael Cera really could not sing in this. It was rough. It was like Pierce Brosnan in Mamma Mia, like... It used to be so nice. Yeah, it was like that. And some of the needle drops were weird. There's a moment where the crabs are escaping a gift shop on the boardwalk, and it's set to Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run, which is such an odd choice. And even odder is a roller coaster scene set to Lonely Boy by the Black Keys. But yeah, I think that's all I got to say about Under the Boardwalk. It's just a mediocre, harmless animated musical. It has some great animation and some good representation with some of the characters, but the boring story and main characters, as well as the forgettable musical numbers, just made this film go in one ear and out the other. It's not the worst animated film that's come out this year, and certainly from Paramount, but I can't really recommend it. It's just forgettable. So I'm gonna give Under the Boardwalk a 5. It's just an average, if unimpressive, animated musical. I don't understand why Paramount kept this film buried for so long, since it's not that bad of an animated film. And I really think they should be ashamed that they kept this one on the shelf for so long. It shouldn't have been thrown under the bus, and I'm glad it's finally out. But in all honesty, there are better animated musicals out there than this.
'Cause you're standing and not drinking water.